Hello, this is Joe from Nerd in Korea. We are going to look at our part 2 of elementals. This is the niche elementals. We always move on to kind of like ones that are good but need to be in a specific deck, I think. Or decks, but anyway. So when I say budget, what I mean is $2 or less, and I'm going by the TCG market value. The market value is kind of a reference point. Often you can find stuff cheaper than the market value even, so that can be very good. And elementals are one of the original creature types in Magic, so they've been around for, I guess, about 30 years now. There's a lot of different availability and flexibility. You can do pretty much anything with elementals. These ones key off of different mechanics and are better suited to certain decks than the previous list. So my last list on elementals was kind of like elementals that are maybe good almost everywhere. And this one is very much more specific, like ones that are good in maybe a very particular kind of deck. But anyway, here we go. Heartlash Cinder. Okay, this has Chroma, which is going to sound very familiar what it does, I think. But anyway, when Heartlash Cinder comes into play, it gets plus X plus 0 until end of turn, where X is the number of red mana symbols in the mana cost of permanents you control. So yeah, what I know I was just thinking of it. I'm spacing out now, but anyway, you count the number devotion. That's what it was called before. Devotion, but devotion is all the time. This is only an Enter the Battlefield effect. All right. So you might say, well, that doesn't sound very good, right? It's only for one turn, and it, it doesn't stick around. But remember, this is also basically a 2-cost 1 and a red mana for a 1/1 that is going to get all kinds of bonuses if you have a bunch of red permanents out already. One reason I like this card is that like a lot of cards kind of decrease in value or creature cards in particular, their effectiveness kind of decreases throughout the game, and this actually just keeps getting stronger and stronger into the late game. I would also look at it more like a cantrip, because it has haste. It means you can cast it and just launch it the first turn, right? They're going to be able to block unless you've got some equipment that gives evasion or something, but yeah. This can get some work done, that's for sure. It very easily be a much better version of a lightning bolt, right? Or a much higher damage, I don't know about better. You will not get to choose the target unless you, again, if you have some kind of evasion where you can get through and get the damage to the player, they're probably going to set up a blocker. And then, yeah, that just is going to go ahead and cancel that out. Unless, again, equipment for trample is great for this guy, but anyway. 1 cent, only 1 cent for the Heartlash Cinder. So that's quite good. But the thing that makes this good, again, is the low cost. 1 and a red. And it's going to be able to come in and probably do some decent damage, especially later in the game, where maybe a lot of other creatures are falling off. This is going to keep pace, right? Woodborn Behemoth is our number 2, or number 4, I should say, our second one. As long as you control 8 or more lands, this gets +4/+4 and has trample. Okay, so when you play it, if you have less than 8 lands, this is a 4/4, which is meh, not great, definitely. Especially for 5, that's just bad. But as soon as if you have some land ramp, which this card is made for, right? If you have a deck with a lot of green land ramp, you play this card. And then it's an 8/8 with trample. Getting 8 lands out by turn 4 it sometimes might be a bit tricky, but the right deck can do it pretty easily. Especially if you have, like, in the last video, I'm spacing on every name today. I love it when I do this. Risen Reef. Yeah, if you have Risen Reef, this 8 lands are going to be filled up pretty quick, right? So, yeah. 5 cents. Only 5 cents for that one. And again, I think people underestimate things like this. Because in the right deck, this is just like an 8/8 for 5 with trample. Awesome. Ivy Elemental. Here's our background image as well. I think it's a pretty cool looking one. Ivy Elemental enters the battlefield with X +1/+1 counters on it. So it's X and a green to cast it. So you could cast it for 2 and have a 1/1, or you could pump a whole bunch of mana in there and just put lots of counters on. This is a Selesnya counters deck. I think is a very popular option, and this is what you want to use it for, right? You want to put this in a Selesnya counters deck. This is just something that's going to key off a whole bunch of other abilities. I guess not necessarily Selesnya, but anyway. Green and something, right? But this will activate a whole bunch of other mechanics. If you have your whole deck built around these +1/+1 counters, putting a whole bunch on one creature all of a sudden can get so much work done. It can do damage. It could, other creatures putting +1/+1s when this does, and all kinds of stuff. Anyway, 5 cents only. 5 cents, even just as a way to get a creature that can have a bunch of +1/+1 counters in a lot of decks, that's going to be more worthwhile than just like, even a 5/5 or something. The counters are why you want this, not the creature. Yeah. Orchid Elemental. Okay, this is an interesting one, and it uses the vote mechanic. Vote is, I think, one of the most underrated mechanics. One thing I do want to point out is that you do get a vote, right? All the players vote, not everyone except for you, including you. So, they vote for Sprout or Harvest. For each Sprout vote, you put 2 +1/+1s on this, and for each Harvest, you get 3 life. So this is going to probably do, again, whatever you want, because you get a vote, but in a multiplayer game, I would only use this in multiplayer. In 2-player, this is very lackluster. But if you're in a 4-player game, this does so much. Again, maybe they don't want you gaining life, so you're going to get this huge creature, or maybe they'd rather you have life, in which case you're more safe, but you can still vote to make it bigger, right? So if you want, you can make it a 4/4 guaranteed and possibly gain 9 life, right? So that would be really pretty good for one card. It does a lot. 6 mana for what it does is not that bad, I'd say. There are probably cheaper ways to get life, but anyway, yeah. Oh yes, and please hit like and subscribe. I'm trying to remember to say that more, because I never did before. Or I would at, anyway, very end of the video, I'd remember 30% of the time. What's your favorite elemental to put into a deck? Again, my next video is going to be on kind of elemental support. So anything that helps elementals, maybe reducing casting cost, maybe giving some other kind of bonus. So a non-elemental that gives bonuses to elemental is what I'm really interested in seeing in the next one. I do have some, but I am always interested to hear some more feedback, because I'm always kind of blown away by what people come up with. Is often I end up seeing cards where I'm I even searched the database and I don't see these cards somehow. Why? I don't know. But anywho, okay, Averna the Chaos Bloom. I actually have this as a commander in one of my decks. I really like it. I've only got to play the deck once. It did alright. But anyway, As you cascade, you may put a land card from among the exiled cards into the battlefield tapped. Okay, once again, this is a land card, not a basic land, nothing like that. Any land you want. So when you exile, you're going to go through until you find something you can cast that has a lower casting cost than the Cascade card. So let's say the Cascade card is 6 mana. Anything 5 mana and under, the first one you find that's 5 mana and under is going to go straight into the battlefield. It's basically going to get cast automatically, and it doesn't matter if it's not your turn or something, it'll still cast. Like if it's a creature and it's someone else's turn, you still cast the creature, right? But when you're doing that, you're exiling cards off the top of your library, and then you can basically just choose whatever land you want, and it comes in tapped, which is kind of an advantage because a lot of dual lands and things like that come in tapped already. So it's almost like you're getting the benefit of playing it without the downside, or the downside is already built in. So it's just benefit really. But anyway, I really like this one. I think the colors are great for elementals as well. If you're going to do an elemental tribal deck, or typal, or kindred, or whatever, definitely I would put this at the top of my list. I am now realizing I didn't make my Averna deck into like an elemental kindred, and I probably should have, but anywho, that is 17 cents for that one. Only 17 cents. I feel like this is one that just needs a couple more good Cascade cards, and then all of a sudden it's going to go way up in value. Cascade is getting some love lately, that's for sure. And on to the list. Alright, first one is Heartlash at 1 penny, 1 cent. Woodborn Behemoth at 5 cents. Almost a green staple, I'd say. Like, this could do so much. I mean, you want something land ramp, but if you have green land ramp, I think almost everyone does, this card should go in. Ivy Elemental. As I was saying, the Selesnya, the like white-green, a very popular type for that is either tokens or the +1/+1 counters. This is just amazing for that. Orchid Elemental, 8 cents. Once again, vote underused, very underused. I would like to see more of that. And Averna the Chaos Bloom. If you want to build a Cascade deck, the number of Cascade cards was originally the problem with a Cascade deck. Recently, they've been making more and more and more. So yeah, it's even making a pretty cheap deck or a budget deck that's Cascade is very doable. Anywho, alright, take it easy.